Hi, this screencast will take you through grades 3 through 5 benchmark phonics online digital tools that can support both in-class learning and distance learning. So after you've logged into the site, and just to double check that you're on phonics, benchmark phonics and word study workshop resources, you can choose your grade level, so 3, 4, or 5. And I'll focus on third grade for the purpose of this screencast. You can get more specific with determining which materials you want to view by saying which unit and week you're on. I'm just going to focus on the overview right now and take you through what's available for teachers and students digitally. And this is available, it looks the same in fourth and fifth. So something that will be a little more optional because we're starting the year in distance learning is this launch. Typically what the launch offers is routines or mini lessons, that is, to build the routines that will become all the steps and parts of a mini lesson for the phonics workshop throughout the rest of the year. However, you can feel free to skip over that this year. And then when you look through each manual, and so obviously you'd start with manual 1, most of your thinking about getting the lesson up and running will be the distance format of it anyways. So go ahead and just skip the launch. What's really nice here, if you can see the grade level in the upper left and then what unit it is. So you can see we have 10 units all together, all the way through down to the magnet one. What I found was most supportive in the spring for teachers when they were using tools to project during a Zoom regarding for phonics, or downloading PDFs of the resources to maybe then upload to either Schoology or Seesaw for students, was this down here. And so it looks the same with this sort of, ladder cubes on the front for fourth and fifth as well. It would just have a different number in the corner. So let's take a look at this resource. What's really handy about this resource, if you just click on one unit, it expands for each of the week's resources. And if I click, for example, on week 1, you're going to get all of the resources that you're going to want students to engage with in some way that the manual will take you through, but it's in PDF form. So you can download this with the download button off to the right, or just print. And now you've got, one of the things you'll see when we get into the program is this automaticity list. So depending on the pattern, the program has provided us with a bunch of words. The gray line signifies the difference between sort of the easier chunk of words are on the top, and the multi-syllabic words, or just a little bit more challenging words, are on the bottom. So they're a little more optional and a way to enrich students. But if you were, for example, doing this in a Zoom and you had a highlighter or some sort of marker to just mark this up, you can do that with students. You could download this and upload it, like I said, to Schoology or Seesaw. You might be wondering, well, what if I want to only have the automaticity sheet? It's very easy once you download to PDF form like this that you could delete. So I'm going to hover on page 3. Not sure why it doesn't start on page 1. I'm going to just click delete. I'm going to click highlight it, delete. So as you're making your resource for students, you might want to just only have that automaticity. And there you go. I'm going to X out of that and show you the rest of the tools that are within this resource for each week. So we've got the automaticity list, takes you through how to use that. And then there's 2 texts. You'll have the accountable text and an interactive text. Again, the manual will take you through how to use it, but knowing you have 2 texts that you can use with students to guide them through the pattern, finding those words that contain the pattern, and they all have a thematic connection. And then we move down to just like a little mini poster that takes you through the sound spelling pattern for the week and some examples. And there should be about 2 to 3 sorts. So usually there's, in this, we have a closed sort. Oops. Yeah, a closed sort, and a common features sort. Sometimes, oh yeah, here's a buddy sort. So you have a few options. Something to inquire at your building level, your coaches, is that on Seesaw, at least at 4-5. I'm not sure. And I think a little bit at third. In the Seesaw Activity Library for our district, many of these sorts, let me scroll back down to sorts, many of these words and or letters have already been created into Seesaw activities for the students to actually manipulate and sort and then turn in. So something to investigate before you go ahead and create something like that on your own. So that would be for one entire week. This would, there's 3 days of lessons, and these different activities would be what you would need for students. So it's the same thing for weeks 2 and 3 and going on. So once again, that was down here, it has this sort of cubes, the colorful rainbow cubes cover there. That one I found to be the most supportive. Now, students do have their own ebook, and I suppose if you wanted to project it, maybe during a Zoom, you could. This is editable, but I think just taking it slow when it asks create a customization, just hit no. You can get into that later. Like, let's just learn the basics. So it kind of functions like an ebook. Down the right-hand corner, there's the page turner. But as you notice, it's the exact same as what we just looked at. So this does have some annotating features that maybe you want to use in a whole class Zoom, but just know that this right here, these student books are very similar to what you could get and download in this resource here. And that ebook, this teacher version of the ebook is the same as the student version. If you wanted to take a look at, for example, the manual, so if we wanted to look at the manual for Unit 1, I'm going to click on our Jaguar here. This is another supportive tool if you don't have the resource at home or in your classroom right away. You could always take a look at these different resources that are found exactly in the manual. So you've got your skills at a glance. What's really nice when you're in here, you can also toggle between any of the units. You've got your overview, which you might want to peruse, but all in due time. So one thing you could start with is saying, okay, we've got week 1. I'm going to think about what is our week 1 whole group lesson, and it'll just take you through the different components as the regular manual would do, kind of one page at a time. If you'd rather export it to a printable version, you could have it that way too. Sometimes what's preferable for this viewing is just jumping to the small group, because maybe you have the manual for the whole group, but you want to take a look at what is it again that I'm doing with my small group students. And you could take a look at what we have there. So that was the manuals, and so they each look the same, just with the different content. So once again, that's using the student and teacher resources. Something else that I wanted to point out, because this is a screencast for intermediate teachers, you do have a subscription for all. Like with this, you can access any of the kinder, first and second. So if you're thinking, I'm going to get rid of the kinder and click on the second grade, one of the really handy resources that you will have a hard copy of in your classroom are these sound spelling cards. So right here, I'm going to click on them, and it takes you to almost a table of contents that you can click on. So obviously most of your students won't need the letters specifically. However, when you get into the different variant sounds, you might want to just pull this up. Maybe it's into your slide deck. It's something you're showing during a Zoom, or you take a screenshot of and put into some sort of digital teaching mode. But I'll just click on this one, for example, it not only shows the sound pattern, a picture, but it gives, in this case, the optional spelling variations. The back, and so again, you'll recognize this is more of a second grade resource, but yes, it has a chant. It talks about the articulation, but what's really nice here for any grade are these sample words and how we can sometimes find them in the middle of our word or at the end, how that could look. Also some really nice English language supports there too. So those are found if you are searching. I'm going to X out of this. If you are in your dashboard, you would have to ask for second grade and then go down to the cards and manipulatives. So a lot of these things you will have, of course, the hard copies of in your classroom, but reach out to your building coach and know that even your colleagues are only in their second year launching this as well. So, and this will be the first time they'll be launching it digitally. So don't be shy, ask around, and to kind of navigate any more of these resources and getting things out to students. I hope this was helpful, and good luck.